What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So Gotham Knights reviews are out and it is a bloodbath out there. The reviews have basically, in a sense, bodied this game from left and right, and a lot of what they've said is very true. The game does have a lot of these deficiencies that are being pointed out by the reviewers. There's no doubt about that. Those of us who've been in this community, we resolved that we were going to be going into this game regardless of whatever it is that anybody else thought, because this game, the first line in terms of the impressions are gonna basically be first felt by the core fans, the people who really invested in this particular franchise and in terms of this particular product. So right now I wanted to give a little bit of my own thoughts so far regarding the reviews in some technical sense, even in some aspects of, say, mechanics and the open world and the performance of the game on console. Like I said in my impressions video, I took the E-flight to New Zealand, and so here I am able to play the game on the Xbox Series X. And in that video, I mentioned that the game was running fine for me, and I think that probably caused some kind of a ruckus because Digital Foundry's review said that the game was not necessarily playing at a stable 30 FPS. And they're actually correct. In fact, the issue that was found on the Xbox Series X, that's not even on the Series S and PS5, wherever they go into the train station, that causes the game to dip to like 25 FPS, is actually not something you need to try to replicate. If you go to some of the side missions where there all this fire that's being thrown out, you'll already start to see that your frames will already drop significantly once these Molotov NPCs start tossing them everywhere. So that already is something that I kind of suspected would happen. I think I said this to one of my audience members a while ago. I said fire and visual effects that are heavy all in one scene usually will cause for frame drops for most games. So this is not surprising. In fact, if that was the worst that they thought they saw in Digital Foundry, I don't think they've played the game long enough. You're going to see some really fun ones whenever you start playing the game. But the truth about the game is you must grapple with the reality and also understand the limitations of a reviewer at the same time. And again, my job here, the reason I'm sitting through this particular experience of playing it at 30 FPS when I could just wait till tomorrow and play on my PC like I originally wanted to, is because some of you've shown interest in wanting to know how the game is playing. Now, when you make your way into the open world, there are many elements that you have to consider. Your traversal in terms of, say, your grappling and your special traversal ability, and then even your bat cycle. When you're gliding and when you're even using your grapple, there's not really a problem there. Even when you're using your bat cycle, it still runs fine, but the challenge is because the vehicle is now moving much faster and you need to control and sway it in different places, that's where you don't have all of that extra frames per second to be able to make maneuvers. And that's where there's a little bit of challenge, but it's something that you're probably going to get the hang of if you already have the game and you're playing. If you don't have the game yet and you're looking, saying, is this something I want to deal with? Then definitely consider it. And also consider, because of the way the open world is big, you're going to be traversing the open world a lot. So you'll be using this bat cycle a lot of the time. So keep that in mind. Another thing too is the way the characters play in regard to combat has also been affected by these frame instabilities that we're seeing here and there. Now, it's not game breaking at all. And I know many people said, for an action game, you have to have this and have to have that. But it's like we all forgot that we played the Arkham games the very first time at 30 FPS. That's what we played the first Arkham games, and even the first Spider-Man games when they came out on the 2013 PlayStation 4 console. So it's not like it's going to ruin your life. However, what I've noticed is it's not necessarily a frame issue whenever I'm in combat. It's more of a response issue. The game is designed with input cancel whenever it is you're actually fighting. So if you were to input a command and you decide to change your mind, the game usually will allow for you to do so. Now, this is where things are very interesting. For those of us that like to play our combat in a sense where we want to feel superior than a bunch of enemy NPCs, it's hard for you to be able to leverage this system, because whenever you have an input now, sometimes your dodge does not register to override an attack. And this is not necessarily a heavy attack. This is just a, light attack. And this is kind of one important thing that I think eventually for some people will become a pet peeve. For me, I found myself saying, I dodged. And when I start saying that, then it means there seems to be some kind of an input issue with the game or a responsiveness issue with the game. Now, keep in mind that this is actually something that is in Batman Arkham Knight and Arkham Origins, the PC versions of them. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, I have never noticed any of that. Asylum, I haven't played as much on PC, but I've played enough to be able to say, okay, I've never had any input issues. And City, I've played enough where there's basically been none at all since I've been playing Arkham City. I think Arkham City, in terms of the PC ports for all the Arkham games, I think it's the cleanest of all of the ports. But Arkham Knight has a similar issue sometimes that will pop up in Arkham Origins. I don't know what it is, but it needs to be something the developers need to look into. Those games are no longer receiving support, but right now we have the development team that needs to be looking at that particular issue when it comes into what this game is facing. Regarding the frame stutters and regarding the frame rates, especially in combat, I think there is a middle ground and a solution. Now, this is going to take something that on the fundamental level of this game, they're going to have to make a small tweak. So already the game is making all these sacrifices. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I understand now even more why they locked this game to the 30 FPS. If already one person is fighting with a number of enemy NPCs, right? And these enemy NPCs are lighting up the place with fire. You're doing your effects, you're doing your abilities, and they all are popping visual effects all over the place. When you add that load to a sequence or to a scene with the way this game works, it's going to tank the performance extremely. And so already the design of this game, like I said in my video a few days ago, is just what the biggest challenge for this game is. I strongly still say that they should have separated the co-op version of this game from the single player. Because on the single player perspective, I see what everybody has been saying. You really can run this single player on the series at the 60 FPS mark without any problems at all. It's when you start considering the little things that are causing the frame dips and how eventually they will add up in a co-op system, then you can realize that that experience will be absolutely ruined if you actually try to maybe move the game further in terms of its fidelity. And I can tell you, these developers, they were stuck between a rock and a hard place at some point in their development. I don't know who must have said, let's do this game this way. But I think when they started to get further and further in, can you imagine being in that dilemma? I can't imagine it. And to be honest, I really feel for them. But it is what it is. Some of you, you're new to my channel. So in your minds, you say things like, oh, you've been shilling for this game since it came out. That's the biggest lie ever. If I pin that comment, I guarantee you people will take you back to school and show you videos where I actually said, if this game is to fail, then let it fail because it's going to teach a lot of lessons. That's the point. You want your developers to learn so that when they're bringing out their future projects, they can bring out future projects that actually appeal to their communities and do well. So in this vein, at this point, I don't think a gameplay system like this for a game structured like this should ever be made again for anything that is less than, say, high-end machines. That's like high-end PCs, of which nobody makes games like that. So you kind of understand the insinuation that I'm actually putting out here. But at the end of the day, the tactile and audiovisual side of the game does provide a lot of fun. And that's where the reviews can't really give you the final piece of the puzzle. And that's where it's going to be very challenging for a lot of people. This doesn't mean you should go buy it because of the audiovisual tactile side of the game. This just means that it is where I'm sitting here playing the game and other people are sitting playing the game and saying we're enjoying the game, while the reviewers are saying that the game is not worth recommending. It's a safe bet to not recommend the game. That's actually what it is. In order for you to recommend the game, you have to break a lot of rules that usually people in the reviewer side cannot necessarily break. Myself, I'm not on the reviewer side. I'm just a regular Joe like everybody else. In fact, I couldn't even keep playing the game that long. I have to go touch grass a little bit, play soccer outside with the kids. And I can easily tell you that on console, I don't know if this game is a $70 game, but I've been trying to hold that opinion until I play the PC version, because on seeing the PC version, I'm starting to see where the value proposition is. And I'm trying not to make this conclusion. Don't force me to make this conclusion just yet until, and I'm talking to myself, by the way, until I actually get my hands on the PC version. And somebody was saying something along the lines of, oh, I can't believe, you think the game runs fine. Enjoy your $70 30 FPS. Bruh, I already made a video saying I was going to take one for the team. In fact, I was supposed to take two for the team by buying a PlayStation copy, but I'm just mad at Sony, so I didn't buy a PlayStation copy. Calm down. Relax. What I think a consumer advocate needs to be is somebody that can actually test out the product and outline a lot of what they think about the product. A reviewer is only going to run through the review and walk away. I think what's going on right now is a bunch of reviewers have a bunch of video games to play, and for them, there's one game that had to basically be the laughing stock. It just happened to be Gotham Knights. That's been offered on the altar of, hey, we're all credible reviewers. Whatever. If you're a fan, listen to whatever everybody else is saying in your communities so that you can make a very good decision for yourself. It appears to me that there's a lot of confirmation bias as well, even though some of the items or a lot of the items that they're pointing towards are actually quite true. But at the end of the day, it's the value proposition that actually does finalize things. And this is why I watch ACG's review. So if you haven't seen any reviews, I think ACG's review might be the review that reveals exactly what I think, but I'm still waiting to play that PC version before I say smack dab, this is what it is. So these are some of my impressions so far regarding the open world and how it's affecting performance, and how the reviews also kind of, in a sense, confirm some of those things, but some things are still missing out regardless. So let me hear your thoughts in the comment section, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another video. Peace out.